An agent needs assistance. An agent needs... Rogue protocol initiated. Rogue striker drone detected. Rogue Firefly detected.
I got one!
Rogue agent neutralized nearby. Contaminated gear detected. Rogue agent eliminated. Now detecting contaminated gear. Nearby rogue agent killed.
Easy, boom boom! What's up, agents? Patrick Wolf here. Welcome to another Division 2 build video. Today's video is going to be the best explosive boom boom build. We all know I love skill builds, and this is one of the strongest ones right now in PvP. If your teammates are struggling against any kind of players in the Dark Zone and one of you put this on, you will absolutely decimate the team. If you guys know me, I've been using this for quite a while on my streams. I really enjoy this, but I finally feel like I've got it the right place, so it's ready for me to drop it for you guys. It's not perfect, but always something I can be working upon, which I will be doing. Now, remember, some of the footage you saw, the build was slightly different, but I actually had talents that gave me less damage, and some of the Firefly shots you guys saw as well, I didn't even proc any damage talents as well. You can one-shot an entire team with the Firefly. If the team, obviously if the enemy team has less than 1.3 million armor, you can actually one-shot them if you proc the right talents. So let's get straight into this. So this is going to be a PvE and PvP build. Now, as you can tell from the footage, I used a whole variety of skills. The mortar turret, the Firefly, and the seeker mine, and the sticky bomb. Now, they all work in different situations. If a team is camping in a building, you use the mortar turret and the sticky. It works great, or the seeker mine. But the Firefly, now here's the trick. So the Firefly, the reason why it's so strong is because you can actually mark targets and they stay marked. And then when they get within proximity of each other, it's about like 15 to 20 meters, whatever it says, then it blows up and it does over 1 million damage per agent. So in PvE, I would recommend using this, the artillery turret, hence why we're using Demolitionist. It's also for the explosive damage. Artillery turret and potentially the seeker mine. But for PvP, I'd use the artillery turret and maybe the Firefly for open areas, maybe in the Dark Zone, and the artillery turret and the sticky bomb, which actually does slightly more damage than the Firefly, but we'll get into that shortly. So I just wanted to quickly explain that. So that's why we need to have this, because the artillery is one of the best ways to deliver damage. It also procs a status effect, so don't forget that. We also get explosive ordnance, which gives us 10% increased explosive damage, which is a lot. It's not easy to get explosive damage in this game. There's only a few ways, so this is very much necessary to do the most amount of damage, to be honest. So make sure everything else is activated there. Also, we're going to be using the rifle because, to be honest, guys, between the damage talents and the perfect variants of the guns, the rifles give the most skill damage out of all the guns. Like perfect talents on weapons of, like the Harmony, for example, perfectly in sync. It's very much needed to have rifle damage. Now, you don't have to. You can utilize other talents with other weapons, but I do recommend using rifles. It's more accurate, so you can proc, for example, Spike. If you want to proc the headshots, it's a bit easier with a rifle. So it's completely up to you. Remember, my builds are always just templates for you guys to change to suit your own playstyle. So just use them as a template. So now we've got this sorted out, make sure that is active. Then we're going to go over to the build and the pieces. So let me do some explaining right here. Okay. So PvE and PvP. The reason why I wanted to bring this build out now is because it's very, very strong in the Dark Zone right now. It's really, really strong, especially in conflict. I'm sure you've come across players utilizing this. I found in what I believe is the easiest and best way to deliver damage without sacrificing your survivability. It is a little bit more mechanical the way that I'm running it now, but I will give you guys different options on the backpack. Like you saw in the footage, I used a different backpack talent which gave me actually less damage than what I have now. So let's go over each individual piece. So obviously we're tier 6 because we're demolitionists, we need it. Then we're going to be utilizing this beautiful weapon right here, which you should have gotten from the season pass. It is the Harmony, which it's got perfectly in sync. So we are going to be getting 40% skill damage with this weapon and 40% weapon damage. So hitting an enemy grants 20% skill damage for 5 seconds. And here's where it gets interesting. So perfectly combined arms, which we'll get into shortly, is the backpack talent. Now it requires us to shoot the enemy to proc it. So we're going to be shooting them anyway because of the Harmony perfectly in sync, which is really, really strong. So it's actually quite important to, and it synergizes perfectly with the backpack that we are using. But I will give you another option as well. So using a skill or damaging an enemy with a skill grants 20% weapon damage for 5 seconds. So it actually doubles it, so it's 40% skill damage and 40% weapon damage. It's a must use in all skill builds, if I'm honest. You can use Spike, it's completely up to you guys. I don't have it on me right now. It requires a headshot, but it is a bit easier to use, so it is an option. You can use whatever secondary you want. For PvE, the Sweet Dreams is one of the best guns to use because you can one-shot melee any purple without any damage or anything. Completely up to you guys, whatever you want. Mechanical Animal as well, it's an option. You can just decide whatever weapon you have, especially Perfect Perpetuation, which is really good for status effect damage, but it's not going to be a status effect build, to be honest, even though it does apply the bleed in various ways. So the pistol, whatever you guys want. Let's move over to the pieces. So now with this build, it's going to be slightly difficult to make it the way that I have it now, and I'm sure you guys can see why. It's actually the 2-piece Grupo Sombra, which gives us that beautiful 15% explosives damage. Now this is a must have if you want to get the most damage out of the explosive build. You've got to try and find one with skill damage. If I'm honest, skill haste is not important in this build, or skill duration. It's just all about skill damage. That's why this is viable. Now obviously when you mod it, you don't have a choice. There are no skill damage mods, unfortunately, but you can just put skill haste anyway because that'll help the build. Bring back the sticky bomb quicker, even though it's not too much of a necessity, but it is what it is. If you can get one with skill haste and skill damage, then go for it. But obviously skill duration is not going to help too much because you're going to be expending your bullets or your ammunition from the artillery turret, for example, and the sticky bomb is not going to benefit from it, or the seeker mine, so it's really not that necessary. But skill damage with the 2-piece Grupo gives us another 15% explosive damage. Very nice. All mods just proc on skill haste. Chest piece, we need that 2-piece Wyvern for skill damage and status effects because it's just going to proc the bleed a bit more severely. It's going to give us a bit more extra damage, especially in PvE. Now skill damage is what you want. I don't have the perfect pieces, to be honest. I need to work on this build a bit more, which I will be doing. Now the talent's going to be quite interesting. So we've got skill damage, but kinetic momentum. Now there's a reason why I'm using this. You might be thinking, well, why don't you use glass cannon? To be honest, guys, glass cannon is so bad right now. You get destroyed very quickly. I don't like using glass cannon. It's really, really bad. You just get killed way too fast, but you can use it. It is the best and most efficient way to get the most damage out of a skill build. But trust me, you want kinetic momentum. Why? When your skills are on cooldown, when your skill finishes cooldown, okay, or it's out, like if your turret is up or your Firefly is off of cooldown, they will be charging while you're in combat. Stacks increase your total skill damage by 1%, so it's 15% per skill. So it's really, really good if you want to use a healer build as well. If you want to use a healing skill, it actually gives you a skill repair also. So what happens is when you're in combat, you will see one or the other stacking, and both of them, you'll notice there's 2 bars. The right one is for your right skill, left one your left skill, and it charges up. You get 15% skill damage at all times pretty much, and there's no shortfalls, there's no amplified damage towards you, and it's always going to be up most of the time, which is really, really strong. It's an extra 15%. There are other ways to get more damage, various other ways, like Overwatch for example, but it's only 12 and it takes forever. It's not really that convenient. I personally prefer to use this. There's a lot of other chest piece talents that could become viable that you could use, but this for me has always been the best and I really enjoy it. It's just always up. You can be running around, you don't have to be in cover. There's no situation for it. It's always going to be up because you're always going to be in combat. So just remember, you actually have to be in combat. So if you go into a mission, to get the proc you would have to engage the NPCs first, so it could be a little bit tricky, but after you've done that, it's pretty quick. It doesn't take too long. So once you've gotten the chest piece talent activated, then you're going to go over to the Wyvern Holster. Status effect, kill skill damage with, well, the same thing rolled on the attributes as well. Now we come to the backpack. So I've got skill haste and skill damage. This is the force multiplier, one of the best, well, it is the best backpack in the game for skill damage in my opinion. So we get perfectly combined arms. This goes in combination with the harmony, obviously, because we're going to be shooting. That's 40% plus 30. It's a 70% skill damage. It's very important to use this. Now you don't have to, but if you want to get the 30%, it does last long enough, so you need to time it. So like when you throw your Firefly, you'll hear the Firefly actually pop. When it pops, you shoot the enemy because it's about a second, then it blows up. Then it obviously blows all the charges. I'll explain how it works when we get to the skills. But this is very, very good. It's efficient. Some of the footage, I used this. Strategic alignment. Now remember to maneuver your build around because you only need the one piece channel light. You can have the 2 or 3. It doesn't really matter as long as you've got skill damage. So perfect shock and awe. So if you shoot your seeker mine once or you shoot your turret once and it hits an enemy, you will get 20%. So it is 10% less, but it lasts for 27 seconds. So it's very efficient for any kind of PvE content and PvP content. In PvP, it's not as good because you have to actually hit someone first to get the damage, whereas you could just shoot your gun once. So it is a bit more difficult using the force multiplier, but the rewards are bigger. So that's really how it works, to be honest. You can only apply the bleed through some of the skills, so just make sure it tells you when you go there. I'll showcase that just now. So shock and awe is really good for PvE because it's easier to proc the bleed, but yeah, it can be tricky, but it is 27 seconds, so this would be an easier backpack talent to actually use. Also, there's tech support, but that's it's 25%, which is good. So to be honest, you could use either one, but like I said before, you actually would have to get a kill. In PvP, it's not the strongest. That's why I've used this, because it's kind of goes both ways. It's better in PvP and PvE, whereas if this was just a PvE build, I'd probably use that tech support. So it's completely up to you guys to decide how you want to play, but it is a fun way to play because it works in perfect unison with the harmony, so just it synergizes perfectly. Krupo Sombra gloves, now these are trash, but these are so hard to find. It's so difficult to find them with skill damage, so good luck, guys. Then roll, obviously you need to roll a yellow if it does, because it normally doesn't roll with a yellow. It's actually really annoying. Once you've done that, this is you need the one piece of this. There's no ifs or buts. You have to run this. You need the China Light because it gives us 15% explosive damage. So from the gear set pieces, we've got 30% plus another 10%, which is 40 plus all the other buffs. Very, very good. So we're going to go over the stats, then I'll go over the skills and explain them in detail. Now I will just scroll through this. You guys can pause it if you want. It's not too important. We've got 53% skill haste, which is actually pretty good considering we don't really care too much about skill haste. Now you're probably wondering, can you use hardwired? You can, very much so. You get 15 skill haste, 15 skill damage, but that, you know what I mean, it's all about explosive damage. Just from 2-piece grouper we get this, not even 3-piece. So I would not recommend using hardwired for an explosive build like this. Maybe a turret build, it's possible, but I have made those builds in the past. If you guys want to check it out, I'll leave links in the description. So once we've got all the pieces and the stats done, we're going to move over to the actual skills. So make sure when you utilize this, now you're going to see the damage is ridiculous. I'm sure you guys are aware of this. It's 872k PvP damage. The sticky bomb and the Firefly does more damage than this, but obviously this is way easier to shoot. It's got a huge radius. It's 6.8 meters. It's just ridiculous. The bleed duration is also big because we have got more status effect, and it does apply the bleed. When you mod this, to be honest, if you're playing on PC, I keybind this to Q, so it's easier to shoot. Don't use a mouse keybind because it wiggles your mouse slightly and it can be quite difficult to shoot from range. When you're modding this, guys, make sure you put the extra 10% damage. You get it from the Demolitioner specialization. Very nice. Then extra mortar ammo and skill haste. I don't think there's anything else better. Nope. Then we're going to go over to the other skills now. This burster Firefly is really good. 1 million PvP damage. Now the footage, to be honest guys, I could get way more damage, but I wanted to bring it down to earth in case you couldn't actually proc any backpack talents or guns. I didn't want to just falsify it for you. So as you can see, I did one-shot one person. You can one-shot if you proc all the talents. And for example, the enemies are running maybe... If someone's running glass cannon, it's an easy kill. They die quick, but if they have less than 1.2, 1.3 mil armor, they can die if you have everything procced on this build. So it's quite fun. It's actually really fun to use. But with the Firefly, here's where it gets interesting. So the burster Firefly attaches explosives. So when you throw, you can highlight people from across the map. And when you throw this Firefly, it attaches the explosive charges, okay? And then if they are within the right proximity, I think this is about 15 to 20 meters. If they it stays on the players, and then when they come close to each other, they absolutely just blow up. It's hilarious, and there's a stagger, so it's really strong, and I really recommend you guys giving this a try. You can hit 6 targets, and I think with another slot we're getting more. It's 10. It's 10 targets. You can kill a whole server potentially, so it's really fun, and I don't think a lot of people understand how good this is. We got one-shotted by this in the Dark Zone yesterday on stream. If you guys saw that, I will actually link the stream. Well, just go check my latest VOD on Twitch, and we actually got one-shotted by a player using this. It's really good. It was very fun to see that, because well, it was a bit annoying, but it is what it is. You know, it's the way the game is right now, and you got to try and find ways to deliver damage, and this is a really strong way and an easy way of doing it as well. So if you hear the beep beep, you run away from each other. That's the best thing I can say, the best advice. Then when modding it, I've got some damage right there. Don't put blind, obviously not a blind one. Max targets once more. To be honest, max, I wish there was damage to the max targets. Speed is quite important also, because this thing is very buggy sometimes, agents, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it just smacks into a wall and it doesn't proc. It actually is really annoying, but you need to be in an open area. That's why it's a bit more difficult to use. I've got the Comet, so I don't know why we don't get more of these. It makes it like flash. It's strange. So I think I got it from pre-ordering the game. Just have a look. It's a vanity slot. I don't even know what the point of vanity slots is. I think I've got one on my shield, if you guys are wondering. Look at this. So I've got a Shade Tech Elite Agent skin, which doesn't look that great anyway. It's just like a big SHD logo. But yeah, now when you go to Seeker Mines, we can actually let's go to Sticky Bomb. This is what I use secondary, and this is actually does more damage than the there it is here. It does more damage, 1.1 million. You will one-shot someone very easily with this, and it's a lot of fun to use, and it sticks to people. The cooldown is great as well, and it lasts for, the bleed lasts for, sorry, there's no bleed, but when you shoot it, the radius is pretty big as well. It is 5 meters, so it's really strong. Not as much as the mortar turret, but you can fire this really fast. You can actually, while you're in cover, if you double tap the shoot button, the skill button, it actually, he blind fires it out of cover. It's really potent. So definitely give this a try. This I would say is my most effective PvP skill that I utilize. It's so good, and the damage is huge. So let's go into the firing range quickly, so I can showcase some of the stuff to you guys. I know some of you might be wondering on the damage numbers. Now with the Firefly, you can hit a lot, quite a significant amount of damage. So let's just put it on hard. It doesn't really matter for now. And then we're gonna put on the Firefly, and let's see what we can do. So Demolisher, as you guys can see, so I don't really know why this is even a thing, because the proxies, so the Firefly damage destroys enemy weak points, so it's quite overwhelming. You look at it and you're like 17.8 million PvP damage, but that's only to weak points. It doesn't apply to the agent. So I just thought I'd bring that in. I did try it. It doesn't work, obviously. Well, there'll be a way to utilize it, especially if people are using I don't know, skills or something. I never found a good reason to use it. Let me know in the comments if you guys know a sneaky way of utilizing this, because that damage is huge. So yeah, let's put this one on here. Let's just have a look. So remember, the way that we're running this build, we need to fire our weapon. So the best way to do it is when you throw it, you just mark the enemies. Just do it like that. And then when you hear it pop, that's when you shoot. See, it popped. So we were doing right over there to the NPCs just over 3 million damage, which is really good. Very fun to use. PvP, it'll be about a mil. This drone right here does a lot of damage as well. We are hitting, yeah, 3.5 million damage. You can get it higher. It is a very situational, but you can actually shoot it like this and keep firing your weapon, and you can do a lot of damage. So you just got to practice, guys. That's all I'm going to say. This build, see, that's 5 million damage right there. So it can be utilized very well. You can be very effective. I think it just takes a bit of practice. Like I said, it takes a bit of practice, but once you get used to it, it's very effective. And to be honest, this is my go-to fun build right now. Pyro is still really good, but it did get a bit of a nerf. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Please leave a like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you think. What would you change about it? How would you run the backpack talent? I know there's a few other like explosive delivery on the chest piece, but in PvP it's not the most ideal. But let me know in the comments, and yeah, I'll be seeing everybody in the next video. Peace out, guys.